This is WKYT This Morning.
Good morning. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Michelle Chamberlain.
And I'm Bill Bryant. We're glad you're with us here on Friday, March 11th. Unfortunately, some very tough news leading our news this morning.
Yeah, and that's where we start at 6. Crews are on the scene of a deadly apartment fire in Winchester. We're live on the scene with the breaking details.
Also, we have new details about a shooting that has injured a Kentucky sheriff's deputy.
And what parents need to know after high levels of radon were found in 9 Fayette County schools.
Trying to get this front on out of here. And once it does, it'll take the rain and also that mist along with it here in the next couple of hours. And that's what we're seeing down toward the southeast. Look at the temperatures, though. It kind of depends on where you are this morning with the way it feels. I'm going to get into your weekend forecast, show you when you can expect the dry weather and also the wet weather. It's coming up.
All right, let's get right to the news.
We begin with a WKYT breaking news alert. We've learned at least 3 people have died following an overnight fire in Winchester.
It really is a tragedy, and the longer we've been on the air this morning and the details have come in, the worse the information is. The fire destroyed an apartment building on Spring Mist Lane off Wynn Avenue in Winchester. There are 10 units at that building. WKYT's Mark Barber is there live with the details of this developing story, and now a triple fatality. Mark, good morning.
Good morning, Bill. Police tell me that that third person died after they were rushed to the hospital to be treated for serious burn injuries. I'm told several other people are still in the hospital right now in critical condition. In all, police tell me that 3 people have died and 7 others were hurt in this fire here in an apartment building on Spring Mist Lane. Now, this fire started around 1:30 this morning. We're told that flames quickly started spreading through the building, destroying all 10 apartment units inside the one building here. Neighbors described for us the panic that they experienced when they woke up seeing the flames. Many say they did not think that they would make it through the morning. Some even described jumping through their windows, even up on the 2nd-story window, to make it down to safety. I was just speaking with a father and mother a moment ago, just grateful to hold on to their 1-year-old daughter because she was just released from the hospital with burns to her neck and back. So while she is in pain, they're just glad they still have her to hold on to. Now, one man told us that his neighbors, several of them died. When he got out, he did what he could to help the children who made it out safely. Take a listen.
Started gathering clothing up and whatever we could and material-wise to try to, get some clothes onto the children, and their clothing that they do have on, whatever it is just already wet. So I know they're cold.
The battalion chief says he is still trying to figure out what sparked this deadly fire. He says their investigation could take at least a day. Now, I have been speaking with neighbors, and they say that a man's oxygen tank may have sparked the flames. So that, of course, is a report that investigators will be taking into consideration. As far as the people who were displaced by the fire, we are still working to figure out how many people lost their homes this morning. But the Red Cross is here. They're handing out warm food to those who are waiting out here trying to figure out what's going to happen next. And they're also working to line up a place for all these people to stay. But again, here, a very tragic situation in Winchester where 3 people are dead and at least 7 others injured in this deadly fire. Live in Clark County, Mark Barber, WKYT.
Well, we just know the thoughts and prayers are certainly with those families and those who have suffered those losses tragically in Winchester this morning. And some witnesses over there are helping us tell this tragic story out of Winchester. Lisa shared this incredible eyewitness video this morning of the fire. You can see the building glowing with flames there. There are 10 apartments again in that building. One man who escaped told us what he saw.
My friend, as she went out the window, a gentleman jumped from the 2nd-story window, 2nd floor. As soon as he hit the ground, he started screaming. He broke his arm. Smoke was so thick, I couldn't see him, and then I got out.
Edward says he is grateful to be alive. He says his neighbors are in need of prayers right now. We'll be updating this story with new information as we get it on WKYT.com and, of course, here on air.
There's terrible news this morning. We're also learning this morning about a shooting that injured a Simpson County Sheriff's deputy. State police say a Deputy Eddie Lawson was serving Ben Wyatt a warrant at a home when he was shot twice. He returned fire, hitting Wyatt in the arm. Police say Wyatt then ran to a nearby field where he hid for about 45 minutes before being arrested. Witnesses said they heard several shots and saw lots of commotion.
And I heard like 6 shots being fired, so I ran up here to the window to see what was going on, and then I saw the deputy running across the backyard.
Police say Lawson was taken to the hospital where he's said to be stable. The suspect, 28-year-old Ben Wyatt, is also in the hospital.
Well, it's been a high-profile murder case in central Kentucky, and today a Lexington man who entered an offered plea after having his murder conviction overturned will be sentenced. Donald Southworth is accused of killing his wife Umi back in 2010. WKYT's Mike Byer is at our live desk to explain what will be happening today. Mike?
Donald Southworth will learn his fate this afternoon when he meets face-to-face with a Fayette County judge. Southworth, who was granted a new trial after the high court overturned the murder charge, entered an offered plea in early February during a court hearing. Now, an offered plea allows a defendant to plead guilty to the crime but still maintain his or her innocence. A Fayette County court jury found the 53-year-old man guilty of murder in 2012. That charge stemmed from the death of his wife, Umi Southworth, who was found naked and brutally beaten behind their home in June of 2010. She died the following day at the hospital. The Supreme Court's March 2014 decision to overturn Southworth's murder conviction revolved around testimony about his sexual history. The High Court said it overturned the conviction because the Commonwealth's attorney gave prejudicial proof that Southworth did an unusual sexual act once before without providing first that act also happened in the murder case. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Southworth will be sentenced this afternoon on the manslaughter charge. Prosecutors have recommended a 15-year sentence. At the live desk, Mike Byer, WKYT.
Mike, thank you. 6:06 is our time on WKYT this morning. This was some revelation yesterday. Testing reveals that 9 Fayette County schools have high levels of radon.
Radon is a naturally occurring radioactive gas that's associated with health problems after long-term exposure. Schools in Kentucky are not required to test radon levels, but 2 years ago, high levels of radon were discovered at a technical school on Leestown Road. So Fayette County Schools decided to test every school. A district spokeswoman says above normal levels were found in these schools: Bryan Station High, Leestown Middle, Harrison Elementary, LTMS, Mary Todd Elementary, Russell Cave Elementary, Sandersville Elementary, Scapa, and Booker T. Washington. Now, the next step is for the school board to approve spending about $570,000 to fix the radon levels. Fayette County Public Schools will start working to lower the levels over spring break, and they hope to finish that up over summer. Well, the Big Blue Nation is invading Nashville, where the Kentucky Wildcats are about to start their postseason run. That's right. The Cats will take on Alabama tonight in the SEC tournament. The Crimson Tide earned the matchup by defeating Ole Miss last night. UK is a heavy favorite. The Cats have already defeated Alabama twice. Tonight's game is at 7 o'clock on the SEC network. Now, coming up at 6:30, we will check in with Rob Bromley from Nashville.
Now, your zone-by-zone forecast with meteorologist Micah Harris.
You know, we've had a really nice week. Yesterday, some rain moved on in, especially late in the day, off into the evening hours. That was out ahead of a cool front. Now, a cool front still trying to push on through south and southeast, so that's why you still have those sprinkles, a couple light showers southeast. But give it another 2 hours or so, and that moves on out. There's the Hal Rogers Parkway still holding on to that front, and when the front moves out, the rain, the mist moves out. Not only that, but that cooler air filters on in. This is a nice fresh breath of breath air. I saw you over there laughing at me. I got it right, though, okay? I corrected myself. 52 degrees now in Lexington, 62 in Middlesboro. So, yeah, wait for that fresh air to actually move southbound as we go throughout the morning hours. By the afternoon, remember, don't get me confused. It's not that it's cool outside later on this afternoon, but it's much cooler than where we have been the past few days at 62 degrees. Pretty nice afternoon in store. That'll take you in overnight and into tomorrow morning, where we start to see a warm front move through. So cool front this morning, warm front tomorrow. So it's going to drive those temperatures back up. If you have any plans there Saturday morning going on, just know any 5Ks going on, anything happening, you will have a passing shower or a rumble of thunder. Then we get into the afternoon. There is a possibility for that, but I mean, you can look across the region. This is no washout by any means, and it actually feels really nice, low to mid 70s. So just keep in mind that as you're tracking off through tomorrow, keep the plans intact, but just know that you could have a passing shower or a rumble of thunder. It won't ruin your plans once it moves over you, because it moves pretty quickly by you. But look towards Sunday. It's not a good looking day, is it? Yeah, a lot of rain in the forecast there on Sunday as we're looking at those temperatures still in the 60s and 70s. But if you're looking for some time to get out and do some things, later on this afternoon, off in the evening is a good idea. And also heading off towards Saturday is a pretty decent idea too, because Sunday, you can see, it's pretty widespread across the area. So it's not bad weather, but it's not the best weather like we've had the past few days.
Yeah, and you can't complain, but today you got to go out and enjoy it, right?
Yes, you do, absolutely.
Thank you, Mikey. Each morning we bring you weather and traffic together, and Officer Don joins us now to take a look at what's happening on the roads, and he joins us from Nashville.
Yeah, getting a look at election traffic from Nashville this morning, but we'll make it work. You know why? Because we can show you traffic flow right now in real time, which is what we'll do, and give you an idea of what things look around there in Lexington, on the Circle, on the interstate, and on Man of War. Now, no major accidents, no major delays to deal with so far this morning. Traffic is pretty light, and that brings us to our drive times. We can see it's a normal ride-in from Nicholasville, and no major issues on the Clays Ferry Bridge are coming across the Clays Ferry Bridge from Madison County. 64 looks good from Winchester. Now, of course, we'll keep you up to date throughout the morning. Now back to you guys.
All right, Don, enjoy the tournament there in Nashville. We appreciate you very much in keeping a keyed in on what's going on in traffic.
Lucky
as well.
guy, get to go to Nashville.
There you go. Time this morning is 6:11, and it's good to have you with us on WKYT this morning. A lot more news is on the way.
That's right. Republican candidates for president squared off in another debate, but there was some different about last night's debate. Details in 3 minutes.
A final goodbye today to former First Lady Nancy Reagan. Over 1,000 guests are invited to her funeral. I'm Terry Okita at the Reagan Presidential Library in Simi Valley, California. The story ahead.
First Alert Weather is brought to you by Columbia Gas of Kentucky.
Good Friday morning to you. Your time now is 6:15. More than 1,000 people are expected to gather at the Reagan Presidential Library today to say goodbye to former First Lady Nancy Reagan.
The guest list includes many politicians and celebrities as well. Terry Okita has the latest from Simi Valley, California.
Family and friends of Nancy Reagan will say farewell to her today at her late husband's presidential library, the place where she spent many of her final days.
It could be an empty chair. I bet we always have an empty chair at the table.
The former First Lady is being remembered for her style, grace, and devotion to her husband, the 40th president. Her tribute will draw in other First Ladies, including Laura Bush, Rosalind Carter, Hillary Clinton, and Michelle Obama.
The funeral is closed to the public, but about 5,500 mourners paid their last respects this week. Some waited in line for over an hour to view the casket and left behind notes, flowers, and American flags in her honor.
Her classiness, her love for her husband, astounding.
Nancy Reagan's 2 children, Patty and Ronald, will share memories of their mother today. Her final resting place will be on the grounds of the library, right by her husband's side. Terry Okita, CBS News, Simi Valley, California.
Mrs. Reagan died on Sunday at the age of 94. President Obama will not be attending the service today.
Presidential candidates continue campaigning in states holding primary elections next Tuesday, including the winner-take-all states of Florida and Ohio. Last night, the 4 remaining GOP candidates faced off in a crucial Florida debate. They did so without the put-downs and name-calling of their previous face-offs. Still, frontrunner Donald Trump doubled down on his anti-Islamic rhetoric.
You can be politically correct if you want. I don't want to be so politically correct.
You can be correct without needing to be politically correct. We are going to have to work with people in the Muslim faith.
If you have a candidate who has been funding liberal Democrats and funding the Washington establishment, it's very hard to imagine how suddenly this candidate is going to take on Washington.
Ben Carson, who ended his presidential bid last week, is expected to endorse Trump today. More rain is on the way for already drenched parts of the South. Deadly floodwaters have prompted thousands of evacuations in Louisiana, where a state of emergency has been declared. The storms aren't expected to break until Saturday.
This morning is coming up on 6:18 here on WKYT. Well, Apple has announced that it is holding its next press event on Monday, March 21st, and a new, smaller iPhone will likely be introduced then. It's rumored to feature a 4-inch display like the one on the iPhone 5S, but with an updated chip and camera. The tech giant is also expected to unveil a new iPad. Actress Jessica Alba's Honest Company is disputing a report in the Wall Street Journal. At issue is a cleaning agent called SLS, listed as a forbidden ingredient in the company's Honestly Free guarantee. The journal cites 2 independent lab tests which found Honest laundry detergent contains the harsh cleaning agent. Honest Company says it uses a safer, gentler ingredient and calls the journal's reporting reckless. Also this morning, the White House is rolling out a program to make diapers more affordable for parents. The program gives low-income families the ability to buy diapers at up to a 25% discount. The White House says about 1 in 3 families have trouble affording diapers, in part because they are not covered by federal assistance programs. The White House says the new program will launch at the end of next month. Well, breakfast is getting cheaper at Taco Bell. The Mexican fast food chain has launched its $1 breakfast menu, and customers will now be able to order 10 breakfast items, including some new additions like the sausage flatbread quesadilla and a mini skillet bowl. Rival McDonald's phased out its $1 menu a couple of years ago. But the breakfast wars are on with the restaurants these days, right?
Well, that's what you're into, right, Bill?
Right.
I think Bill's just going to have a smoothie. He's a healthy guy.
That'd be good.
Your time now is 6:19. WKYT This Morning is just getting started. If you have a sweet tooth, like Bill, look away. Why tons of chocolate was set on fire in 6 minutes.
And we're looking across the region, seeing that cooler, drier air filter on in here. And then we hit the weekend. Here comes another front. Is that going to bring us rain in the forecast? I might have that coming up next.
Good morning. Welcome back into WKYT This Morning. It's 6:23. When we came in this morning, we knew that we had a tragic story, and as the time has gone on this morning, the details have become even tougher.
Yeah, it's been hard to hear about 3 people who are dead, several injured after an overnight fire in Winchester.
And that's what is trending at this hour. A lot of you checking the story out online, and of course here on air we're keeping you updated. The fire started about 1:30 this morning at an apartment complex on Spring Mist Lane. It's not far from Main Street there in Winchester. Witnesses say they saw people jumping out of second-story windows to escape the flames. Firefighters say the investigation could last through tomorrow as they try to get to the bottom of what happened. But again, we have confirmation of 3 fatalities in that horrible fire.
Definitely a terrible story there. Simpson County Deputy Eddie Lawson is recovering after being shot while serving an arrest warrant. Police say he was shot twice before he was able to return fire, hitting the suspect. Ben Wyatt was arrested about 45 minutes later. He is also in the hospital.
And a quick check of the weekend weather forecast. Here is meteorologist Micah Harris.
Yeah, and it looks pretty decent for at least one of those days. Saturday's not a bad day. We still have that chance of rain, but I believe Sunday is going to be pretty widespread. That front's still trying to make its way out of south and southeastern Kentucky. Another 1 to 2 hours, it'll be long gone. It'll try to take that mist and also a couple of sprinkles along with it. And some cooler air is moving on in. Now, this is fresh air, okay? So when you step outside, it's not going to be any type of mugginess or anything like that. We've had that the past few mornings, what you feel something is in the air. It's 52 degrees right now in the Mountain Parkway. Sunrise trying to come up over in eastern Kentucky. Lexington, we still have about 45 minutes or so. And here in Lexington, it's 52 degrees. Jackson, close to 60. You go even farther south than that. And to, say, the mountainous regions, you're there in the lower 60s right now because that front has not pushed its way all the way through. So once we hit through the day, it's actually a pretty pleasant day. Lower 60s to mid 60s, mostly cloudy skies. And the focus of the forecast, guys, obviously is that weekend because it's pretty quiet today. But the weekend, one day we'll have widespread rain. One day, just a small chance of seeing a passing shower or a thunderstorm. I want to get into that and show you when you have those dry slots so you can make your plans. Coming up in a few minutes.
Okay, folks will have to dodge those showers a little bit. Our time is 6:25 on WKYT. When most people get a ton of chocolate, you know, what do? You eat it, right?
Yes, and if you like chocolate, you may not want to see this video. Authorities in Gaza destroyed more than 14 tons of it. Inspectors burned thousands of Snickers, 24 packs in a dump in a city in Gaza. The chocolate destruction came in response to a mass recall issued by Mars last month after a small piece of red plastic was found in a Snickers bar.
Well, there you go.
Tough to see.
In Thailand, some athletes are just simply bigger than others. So you'll take a look here and you'll see what we're talking about, huh?
The annual King's Cup elephant polo match took place in Bangkok.
Yeah.
That's right, elephants. The King's Cup has been held every year since 2001. It raises awareness and money for elephant conservation programs. So we're not sure how they practice for the match, but the elephants seem to be pretty good at the game.
They are. They seem to enjoy themselves as well, huh?
You know, what if you're in the city and you just stumble upon this match?
Which, yeah, as you can see the city there, the skyline behind them, but they're having a great time, it looks like. All right.
Very interesting.
There's
Interesting
something to
indeed.
do. 6:26, Friday morning on WKYT. Glad you're with us. We have a lot more news coming up for you.
Yeah, when WKYT This Morning returns, how a community plans to rebuild nearly 2 decades old Kentucky country store that was destroyed in a fire.
We're, of course, staying on top of the tragic fire in Winchester, and tonight's Mega Millions jackpot is $15 million. Saturday night's Powerball jackpot is $60 million. Kentucky mornings start right here on WKYT.
Stay connected to the news that matters to you, like WKYT on Facebook. This is WKYT This Morning.
Good morning to you. It's your Friday. Glad you're on WKYT. I'm Bill Bryant.
And I'm Michelle Chamberlain, filling in for Rebecca Smith. And no baby yet, but she's at home resting.
The wait is on. We wish her well, and we'll let you know when the arrival is here. It is Friday morning, March 11th. A tragic story, unfortunately, here at 6:31. The latest details out of Clark County, where 3 people have been killed in an overnight house fire. We're live in Winchester with that breaking story just ahead this morning.
And Morehead State University's president says a 5-day furlough is necessary because of Governor Bevin's proposed budget cuts.
And we're in Nashville, where the Kentucky Wildcats are getting ready for their first game in the SEC tournament.
And we're looking on Defender early this morning. The Radar Network looking across the state of Kentucky. Commonwealth doesn't look all that bad to the north, but toward the south, we're still dealing with some mist, a couple of sprinkles here and there, and temperatures, that depends on where you are too. 40s northbound, 60s southbound. I'm going to show you what your weekend forecast looks like. There is rain in it. It's coming up.
And a tragedy leads our news this morning as we continue to track a breaking news alert. The stories that we're hearing of, even from survivors this morning, is just awful out of Winchester. 3 people are dead, many others injured following an overnight fire in Winchester, not far from the downtown area.
And that fire destroyed an apartment building on Spring Mist Lane off Wynn Avenue in Winchester. WKYT's Mark Barber is live at the scene with more details this morning.
Good morning, Michelle. Firefighters say several people are in the hospital fighting for their lives. They say they hope that the number of deaths from this fire does not climb any higher. As of right now, they say 3 people are dead and at least 7 others are injured. Now, we spoke with one of the lucky ones just a couple minutes ago, a mother and a father holding on tightly to their little 1-year-old daughter. They say that she had just been released from the hospital with burns to her neck and her back. They say that she is expected to recover, but she is in pain. But again, she survived, so they count themselves as lucky. Now, that is what we are seeing a lot of out here this morning. People with stories of survival, but also a lot of pain for some of them as they try to figure out what they're going to do now that they have lost their homes. The fire here off of Spring Mist Lane started around 1:30 this morning, destroying 10 apartments in one apartment building. The Red Cross is here handing out warm food for people who have been displaced by the fire. They're also working to get those people lined up with a place to stay. Now, those who were able to escape consider themselves very fortunate to still be alive right now when they think about their neighbors who did not make it out.
And if it wasn't for Brat, which is our little dog, to me, she's a hero. She's what saved our lives. We're just lucky and grateful to be alive, and thankful to be alive, and you know, what a way to wake up.
The battalion chief says that they are still trying to figure out what started this fatal fire. Now, we have been speaking with neighbors of people next to that unit where that fire did start, and they say that the man who lived there went door to door knocking, screaming for people to leave their apartments. He says that he had knocked over his oxygen tank. That's where the smoke and the flames started, and he worked as hard as he could to get those people out of the building. Now, I heard him describing through tears the pain that he now has after seeing this building the way it is this morning, knowing that so many people have lost their homes and even others have lost their lives. Again, just to recap, at least 3 people dead in this fire and at least 7 others injured. That's the latest word from police. Of course, we'll continue to follow this through the morning right here on WKYT and on our website, WKYT.com. Live in Winchester, Mark Barber, WKYT.
Mark, thank you very much. Very difficult news to gather and to report to you this morning from over there in Winchester, and we know that many throughout the WKYT viewing area have folks in their thoughts and prayers this morning there. In other news, a Lexington man who entered an offered plea after having his murder conviction overturned will be sentenced today. Donald Southworth was convicted of murder in 2012 in the beating death of his wife, Umi. 2 years later, the Kentucky Supreme Court overturned his conviction over testimony about his sexual history. Last month, Southworth entered this offered plea, which allows him to plead guilty to the crime but maintain his innocence. In 2010, his wife was found naked and brutally beaten behind their home. She died the following day. Prosecutors recommended a 15-year sentence. New this morning, a woman is in jail accused of stealing $35,000 from a Central Kentucky Kroger. Richmond police say on Tuesday, Sarah Carter was seen stealing $1,100 and giving it to her husband during her lunch break. Police say she admitted to stealing the money over the past 6 months. And while being interviewed, police say she tried to hide heroin by taking it out of her underwear and swallowing it.
New tests show that 9 Fayette County public schools have high levels of radon, but the school board says there's no reason for parents to panic because they have a plan to fix the problem. WKYT's Mike Byer is at our live desk this morning with more details.
High levels of radon have been discovered at 9 Fayette County public schools, and now school leaders are trying to work on a plan to get rid of it. District spokeswoman Lisa Defendahl says high levels of radon was discovered at Bryan Station High School, Booker T. Washington Intermediate Academy, Harrison Elementary, Leestown Middle School, Lexington Traditional Magnet School, Mary Todd Elementary, Russell Cave Elementary, Scapa, and Sandersville Elementary. Now, radon is an invisible, odorless, radioactive gas that comes from the natural decay of uranium that is found in soils. It is the second leading cause of lung cancer, according to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Now, schools in Kentucky are not mandated to test radon levels, but after finding a higher radon level a year and a half ago at Locust Trace, Fayette County Public Schools decided to test the radon levels at every school and also set their standard as the same as the EPA's residential exposure level, which is a 4. All 9 of the schools have tested at a 4 or higher. Now the school board needs to sign off on $570,000 to fix the radon levels. Fayette County Schools sent home a letter to each of the 9 schools Thursday saying, quote, there are health risks associated with prolonged exposure to high levels of radon, but please be assured that the levels in our buildings did not approach that level of concern. End quote. At the live desk, Mike Byer, WKYT.
Thank you, Mike. Now, the Fayette County Board of Education has elected its new chair. Melissa Bacon was the board's previous vice chair. The board says current school board member Amanda Ferguson will become the new vice chair. Bacon replaces John Price, who died last month after battling cancer.
The time this morning coming up on 6:38 on WKYT, and a new police memorial monument will be dedicated today in Nicholasville. It's in honor of the city's only 2 fallen officers. A year ago today, Officer Burke Rhodes was killed in a crash in Garrett County while he was on his way to training. The city's only other officer to die in the line of duty is Officer Paul Ketron. He was shot while responding to a shooting back in 1941. Both Ketron and Rhodes' names will be inscribed on a memorial that will be unveiled today. Well, Morehead State University's president Wayne Andrews says faculty and staff will be furloughed without pay during spring break. That's due to the current budget situation. Andrews said Morehead must cut $4.5 million in costs because of a $2.6 million tuition shortfall and due to Governor Bevin's proposed 4.5% cuts in the state's appropriation to the school. That amounts to almost $2 million in the current fiscal year. Well, a northern Kentucky community will be having a big party this weekend to help rebuild a historic business there. The 185-year-old Rabbit Hash General Store burned down last month in Boone County. A Cincinnati TV station reports that the Rabbit Hash Bash is going to be held this weekend in Fort Thomas, and the money raised will go to help rebuild that historic store. All right. Sounds like fun, doesn't it?
It does. Rabbit Hash Bash.
You got it. And so does this. The Big Blue Nation is ready for March Madness.
Yeah, no, we are in our blue.
There you go.
You got to wear your blue today.
Yep.
The postseason kicks off tonight when the Cats take on Alabama in the SEC tournament. WKYT's Rob Bromley joins us from Nashville with the latest.
Here in Nashville, it will be Kentucky and Alabama in the SEC quarterfinals on Thursday night. Alabama advanced with an 81-73 victory over the Ole Miss Rebels. Now, Kentucky had no trouble beating the Tide twice during the regular season, but as you might expect, Bama's looking forward to this next opportunity.
We know we're dealing with. We feel we're a little bit different team now. At least we've played in a situation where they had, you know, a pretty large home crowd. They'll have the same thing tomorrow from what I understand.
One of the reasons I don't like conference tournaments, that hasn't seemed to improve our seed if we do well, and their game Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Well, there's nothing that we do all year that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 games. The NCAA tournament is a game, a day off a game. So, you know, we're here to, let's tune it up, let's get better, let's play with intensity.
The Cats and the Crimson Tide SEC quarterfinals here at Bridgestone Arena in Nashville. Rob Bromley, WKYT.
All right, Rob, thank you so much. And get out your green clothes and gather up some 4-leaf clovers for the weekend. That might help for the ball game as well, so you might want to do that ahead of time. Lexington's annual St. Patrick's Day Parade is tomorrow, all, of course, ahead of the holiday next week. The 37th annual St. Patrick's Day Parade and Festival will be held in downtown Lexington. The all-day celebration begins at 8 o'clock in the morning when there will be the 10th annual Shamrock Shuffle. That will benefit Habitat for Humanity. Then at 11 a.m. it's the annual Blessing of the Keg at Cheapside Park, to be followed by a parade at 1 o'clock. There'll be some street closures downtown because of the events as well. And then there's the Disney on Ice going on as well at Rupp. So it's going to be busy downtown. Everybody sort of keep that in mind as you plan your Saturday. Right?
It's a fun time, and I know they make those green shirts that say Kentucky.
Yeah,
just for this time of year.
There you go. It works out. And let's check and see how traffic is moving this morning. Officer Don is actually down at the tournament, but keeping tabs on traffic, and he joins us live. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, we can do that because, as you can see, we can get real-time view of Lexington traffic flow right now, which is what we're doing on the Circle, the Interstate, and no issues at all coming across the Quays Ferry Bridge, it looks like, at least so far this morning. With no collisions in the way, we're off to a good start with our drive times, too. From Nicholasville, it's a straight shot across the county line. No major delays right now on Harrodsburg Road. And coming in down on the north side, no problems as well. Georgetown looks good, too. Now back to you in the studio.
All right. Hopefully everybody has a good ride in on the Friday and make it to the weekend, right? 6:42 is our time on WKYT this morning. Great to have you along with us. A lot more on the way.
Yeah, wild turkey is causing some problems in a California neighborhood. But it's
not
the kind of wild turkey we're used to here in Kentucky, right, Bill?
That's right. We'll have that.
Yeah, and we're going to be looking at that weekend forecast because we're getting a front pushing the rain on out today, but does it return for your weekend? I'll have that answer coming up next.
I'm WKYT's Sam Dick, and I stand for Kentucky.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with meteorologist Micah Harris.
Now we're looking across the region. What we're going to be dealing with the next few days, well, temperatures there in the 60s today, 70s there for the weekend. Let's get right into it and see what's going on out and about. Here's the look across the region. And look, we're going to be holding on to temperatures there in the 50s and 60s this morning down south. Just gave away my 7-day forecast, man. God, my graphic wouldn't change. But you know what? We're getting going this morning. I promise you that. Having a good time this morning. And look, the weather isn't all that bad. We're going to take you through the next several hours. There is still a front down toward our southeast, and our front is just hard to move out. It's hard to get over the mountainous regions. That's going to be the problem there as we continue to track throughout the next couple of days. The threat of anything going on the next couple of days is relatively low, and that's what we're going to be settling in with as we continue to go off towards your weekend. Here's your breakdown of it. Today, it's mostly cloudy, mostly dry. We're going to be holding on to that throughout the rest of your afternoon, off into your evening. So if you have any plans going out and about, you should be good to go there. On Saturday, a couple of rumbles here and there, but for the most part, we're going to stay mostly dry. But remember, you're going outside, you have any plans outdoors, whether it's morning or afternoon, you're still going to have that same chance of a passing shower or thunderstorm. Look at these temperatures, low to mid 70s. Then we hit Sunday, showers and thunderstorms in the forecast. That's pretty widespread on Sunday. If you have any plans then, you will want to have a backup plan or just maybe cancel it off here very shortly. Dry and pleasant, though, toward this Friday. Get into Sunday. That is your best rain chance in the forecast in terms of the rest of this week. Off into next week, we have a pretty good chance, too. But that cold air, I wanted to talk about this for a second. The cold air is not giving up. I know you spring lovers are really ready for everything to get going there with the 60s and 70s, and we've had that the past few days. But you're going to be seeing that the next few days, but it's after that few days, into next week, mid to late next week. Cold air swings on in here as the front comes barreling on through. So here's the breakdown for your 7-day forecast. 62 degrees today. That morning rain moves on out here within the next hour or two. And then Saturday and Sunday, the best chance for rain is on Sunday. Saturday, 30–40%, definitely not a washout. And I would say if you're trying to get outdoors, just know that you could have a passing shower or thunderstorm. But it's that type of weather where it's not just a massive rain moving on through. It's isolated shot here and there, so once it passes over you, give it 10 to 15 minutes, it'll be long gone. So don't cancel any plans. But Sunday into Monday is no doubt about it your best chance. Next week, guys, 44 there on Thursday, 32 for an overnight low. And you know what? There is that possibility. Maybe a couple of flakes during that time,
well, of course.
Too. Yeah, of course, right?
Right as if we're heading into spring.
Exactly.
Everybody needs to remember that time change, you know, springing ahead tomorrow night. You need to remember, you're going to do the news Sunday morning, right?
Yes,
So.
I hope I don't oversleep.
Yeah, right.
Maybe they'll call you in, Bill.
Somebody will call you.
Right.
Hopefully.
All right. Thank you, Mike. 6:48 is the time right now.
Something is more than a little afoul in several California neighborhoods.
They're aggressive, they're mean. They're on our roof and up in the trees and looking in the shower. And they go out and dig up people's yards.
Homeowners outside of Sacramento say they're being terrorized by dozens of wild turkeys. Real ones. A handful of turkeys were brought in 10 years ago, and now there are more than 80. These things happen. A city official says that a community forum is going to be held sometime next month to discuss how in the world to handle the turkey problem there. So there you go.
I just have nothing to say. You know, it's one of those stories you just have nothing.
It's an issue, right? Okay. 6:49 the time. We're rolling towards 7 o'clock, and glad to have you along on WKYT this morning.
We'll have more news when we return.
Just get to the news. Kentucky, we hear you. There's more real news every morning on CBS This Morning. Right after WKYT This Morning, your most watched station.
Your time now is 6:52, and if you're just tuning in, we're tracking an awful story this morning out of Clark County. We've learned 3 people are dead, many others injured after a massive fire at an apartment.
Really, the more we have learned, the more difficult this story has become to report this morning. The fire started about 1:30 this morning at Spring Mist Lane. A viewer sent us this intense video of the flames there. The fire department says the investigation is going on into how it started, and they say it could last through tomorrow before they have a determination. We're hearing a lot of stories of survival. One man told us that his dog woke him up and he was able to get out of the apartment safely. Another man says he watched as people jumped out of a second-story window. And a mother and father say their daughter was just released from the hospital this morning after being treated for burns. She came up to our reporter, Mark Barber, with the burns there still on her neck this morning. We'll continue to cover this story on WKYT.com and throughout the day. But again, 3 fatalities in this apartment fire in Winchester.
Definitely terrible news this morning. Our thoughts and prayers are with them at this time. Now moving on, a Lexington man who entered an Alford plea after having his murder conviction overturned will be sentenced today. Donald Southworth was convicted of murder in 2012 and the beating death of his wife, Umi. 2 years later, the Kentucky Supreme Court overturned his conviction over testimony about his sexual history. Last month, Southworth entered an Alford plea, allowing him to plead guilty to the crime but maintain his innocence. In 2010, his wife was found naked and brutally beaten behind their home. She died the following day. Prosecutors recommended a 15-year sentence.
We're learning more this morning about a shooting that injured a Simpson County Sheriff's deputy. State police say Deputy Eddie Lawson was serving Ben Wyatt a warrant at a home when he was shot twice. He returned fire, hitting Wyatt in the arm. Police say Wyatt then ran to a nearby field where he hid out for about 45 minutes before being arrested. Police say Lawson was taken to the hospital. He is said to be in stable condition this morning. The suspect, 28-year-old Ben Wyatt, is also in the hospital.
Presidential candidates continue campaigning in states holding primary elections next Tuesday, including the winner-take-all states of Florida and Ohio. Last night, the 4 remaining GOP candidates faced off in a crucial Florida debate, during which frontrunner Donald Trump doubled down on his anti-Islamic rhetoric. Ben Carson, who ended his presidential bid last week, is expected to endorse Trump today. Funeral services will be held today in Simi Valley, California for Nancy Reagan. The former First Lady died this week at the age of 94. First Lady Michelle Obama, as well as former First Lady Hillary Clinton, will be among those in attendance.
The time this morning is 6:55, and on WKYT.com, of course, we have all the latest news for you as we continue to cover this terrible and deadly fire in Winchester that has claimed 3 lives. We have video, new information coming in. We're adding it as we get new details. We'll keep that story updated on air and online for you this morning. And, of course, on social media, we'll be pushing out the info as soon as we get it. Also trending this morning, the details about 9 Fayette County schools showing radon levels are too high. And now the school board is going to have to come up with more than $500,000 to try to fix that problem. Well, Kentucky has its first confirmed case of someone infected with the Zika virus. The state says he lives in the Louisville area. He has been to South America and is said to be recovering well this morning. The Kentucky Wildcats getting ready for action tonight in the SEC tournament. We now know that the Wildcats will be facing the Crimson Tide of Alabama. The Cats are favored in that game, which tips off at 7 o'clock tonight. You'll hear from our crew in Nashville on our website, social media, and our newscasts throughout the day. They're chasing some fans around as well down there, and there is a lot of blue in the Music City. The UK tennis family is mourning the death of Hall of Famer Bruno Agostinelli. The 28-year-old newlywed and father died in a motorcycle crash in Toronto. Kentucky.com has more about that story this morning. Also in Kentucky.com, details about Morehead State University announcing a 5-day unpaid furlough for faculty and staff. President Wayne Andrews dealing with declining enrollment and state budget cuts. CBS This Morning is on the way with the latest, including your eye-opener, and for all the latest, WKYT.com.
And we're going to be seeing the 60s later on this afternoon. It will be really, really nice fresh air out and about. So keep that in mind that this weekend, Sunday's your best chance to rain.
And nobody's more up to date than you. Thank you for being with us on WKYT.